we have a tendency to think that a new date and a new year and a new decade ensures a new you. But the reality is, it is not the ticking of a clock that brings about the transformative power. It is not as though God waited on a particular day and said, if you make it past this date to a new calendar date, I swear I'm going to bless you. No, it's not that simple. The truth of the matter is, change does not come easy.
It's very hard. And you have to challenge yourself to discipline your mind, to just focus on what are the most important things that you need to do right now in the midst of it. Number one, to fortify yourself mentally and emotionally, to develop a level of mental resilience, because there's so many unexpected things every day.
I know a couple things about New Year's Day, and I know a couple things about the new year. One is, it's going to go real fast. Number two is, it's a new chance, a new beginning. So I would encourage you today to set aside a few minutes, look at your life, make a couple of New Year's promises and resolutions to yourself, ones that have high ideals, ones that'll make you better, and start this new beginning, this fresh start today on the right foot.
And so it shows a state of mind that many people are facing as a result of the coronavirus. So it's focusing one's mind. We can't control the thoughts that come in our minds, but we can control the thoughts that we dwell on.
Change does not come easy. Now, this is going to be tough to hear because it is antithetical to what you are used to hearing. You're used to hearing spin around 3 times and God's going to break it. 5 ways to have a great marriage and 3 ways to start your life over, and eat this and you'll drop 100 pounds, and take this pill and you'll be back able to get into the dress you wore to the prom. But the truth of the matter is, a day of not eating at Wendy's doesn't constitute a diet, and you're not going to be transformed easily or quickly.
A person's strengths are often their biggest weaknesses. And so that also means that their weaknesses can be their strengths. I am weak, but I don't accept that. I don't accept that I am what I am and that is what I'm doomed to be. I'm always fighting, I'm struggling, and I'm scrapping. And I'm kicking and clawing at those weaknesses to change them, to stop them.
There are times in life when conflicts and trouble arise. How we deal with these conflicts and how we deal with these troubles reveals more about our character than we want to admit. Because what you are when the pressure is on is what you really are.
Let me tell you something, the stuff you've been through, don't pay it any attention. It is just a sign that the baby is coming. You're on the verge of birthing. You're about to give birth. I don't care whether you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. There's something down inside of you that's still kicking inside of you that wants to get out and it wants to live.
Some days I win. Some days I don't. But each and every day I get back up and I move forward with my fist clenched toward the struggle. And I fight with everything I've got to overcome those weaknesses and those shortfalls and those flaws as I strive to be just a little bit better today than I was yesterday.
As long as there's people, there's going to be conflict, disagreements, contention, dissension. Family reunions would be really nice if you didn't have to deal with your family. But everywhere there's people, there's going to be strife. There's going to be conflict. There's going to be trouble, because that's just the way it is.
You've got to be knocked down and then be willing to continue. You're going to be laughed at, and you're going to be ridiculed. You're going to face self-doubt. You're going to be exhausted at times. You're going to face all sorts of challenges if you want to get to your Mount Everest. Everything that happens to you is for your growth. It's the times of suffering that make you great.
So no matter how great the setback, how severe the failure, you never give up.
If nothing ever prevented you from being the best version of yourself, nobody told you you were limited, you had never failed at anything, and you know you wouldn't fail going forward, what would you dream? How big would your dreams be?
Gratitude in advance is the most powerful and creative force in the universe. The quote reads, "Be grateful for all things because all things have contributed to your advancement. Therefore, all things should be included in your gratitude," right? Wins and losses, opposition, adversity, challenges, right? Stages and phases, right? Lessons and blessings. And for most of us, 2020, it was a year of pain. It was a year of people look back on it like, man, I can't find nothing to be grateful for. But the ability to learn is a gift, even when pain is our teacher, right? And as we move into 2021, I think the thing that we must always be cognizant of is painful endings always lead to new beginnings.
Those who study trends in corporate America suggest that in order to change, not the building, you can change the building quickly, not the name, you can change the name legally and quite proficiently, but to change the culture of an organization is quite difficult. The invisible aesthetics and accoutrements that go along with an entity is difficult to change. Most experts suggest that 1 to 3 years at a minimum to change the culture of an organization. You can change the wallpaper. Changing the culture of a marriage is not easy. I have been doing marital counseling for 43 years. And let me tell you something. By the time you see most couples, the culture of the marriage is so baked in that nobody will listen at anybody because everybody on both sides think they are right. And yet they come for change and they walk away without change, because change doesn't come because you come to my office. Change doesn't come because you took a diet pill. Change doesn't come because you lifted up a barbell for a week. Change doesn't come because you hired a new CEO. Change doesn't come because you changed the name of the entity. Change doesn't come because you dyed your gray hair blonde. Change doesn't come because you shaved your head off and put on an earring. Real substantive change that changes you at the core is difficult to attain.
I've been thinking about gratitude lately and why it's such an important and powerful state of awareness. When you have gratitude, you are holding on to a particular sort of awareness. It's a powerful and transformative awareness. And what's more is that you don't have to do anything to get it. You don't have to buy it or work for it. You just have to live it. I like something John F. Kennedy said once about gratitude. He said, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter the words, but to live by them. But how do you do that? How do you live a life of gratitude when you are too busy trying to live? I have enough sense to be grateful when the big things happen. When the growth they found and took 6 days to test wasn't cancer after all. I have enough sense to be grateful when my bonus was a lot more than I thought it would be. The big things make us pause and reflect. Then we say, whew, thank goodness. But you forget about the small things. You forget how to live in gratitude for the small things. You forget about your warm house. Or if your house isn't warm, you forget about the fact that you have a roof over your head. And if you don't have a roof over your head, you forget about the fact that your heart is still beating. You forget about the people who make you laugh and who make you feel validated or loved. You know, hearing myself say that these aren't really small things. They are things you take for granted so they become small, and you start noticing them.
Don't allow the pull to pull you down. And where you just give up and let go and give up on your dream and your hope and your position and your posture and all of the things that God has done into your life, and you fall into the abyss of your base nature and let it just drive you further and further down. Who knows how far down gravity would pull you if Earth were not in the way? How far down is down? We don't know. All we know is that there is a law that by nature pulls us down. And we have to fight to think up, to live up, to pray up, to walk up, to do the right thing, to forgive people, to be balanced, to discipline ourselves. It's an ongoing battle. But the battle is a blessing. And I want you to understand, I want to encourage somebody that's in the fight right now, that the fact that you're in the fight is a sign that you've been changed because you didn't used to fight it.
But again, how do you live a life of gratitude? Maybe the question isn't how, but why? Why live a life of gratitude? I think the answer has to do with selfishness. See, I don't mean selfish with a small s. That's when you care about yourself at the expense of everyone else. No, I mean selfish with a big S. That's when you care about yourself so deeply that your care extends to everyone else. Put yourself first. Give yourself an advantage. How do you feel? If I said you could feel revivified and empowered, you would want more of it. Remember, you're being selfish. So if I said you could feel more connected and more compassionate, you would want more of it. You want more of it because gratitude is another expression of love. How do you feel when you are grateful? You feel like you are not going through life alone. You feel as though someone or somebody is with you. You feel connected to something other than you. You feel cared about. And when you feel cared about, you care about. Don't just think about it. Be about it. Gratitude isn't just about thank you. It's not the word. It's not just about the feeling. Gratitude is about living the feeling. Live the life of gratitude.
But some of us have lulled our desire to change to sleep, and we are satisfied just to be stabilized. And when you are around people who see success merely as stability, it is quite frustrating because they resist the propensity to change, and they will fight you off if you try to change because they think survival is success. But the reality is, I'm the kind of person is I don't want to soak up sunshine, drink water, and breathe air and stay the same way I was at 40 that I was at 20. I want to learn something. I want to grow somewhere. I want to increase in some area of my life. I want to be able to have quantifiable results. I resist people who waste my time. Yes, I resist you. I resist you. I resist you. I make war with you. I come against you. I would rather you waste my money than waste my time. I can get some more money, but I can't get some more time. Do not waste my time.
When change is involved, somehow we get into this thing where we're kind of waiting for somebody else to do it. We're waiting on someone else to arrive. I mean, we've got to stop that. We got to stop waiting for someone to change before you change. You got to stop waiting for somebody to help you change.
You've got to weigh before you pay. Whether you're going to spend heavy time or light time, you've just got to weigh. Otherwise, if you're not careful, you can get trapped into spending heavyweight time with lightweight people. Now, it's okay to have casual friends as long as you give them casual time, not serious time. Spend major time with major influence and minor time with minor influence. So maybe all you need to do to change some of the influences in your life is not to eliminate them, but merely limit them. Take a look at your priorities and your values. We have so little time at our disposal. Wouldn't it make sense to invest it wisely?
If you can teach people to stand up in the face of the things they're afraid of, they get stronger. And you don't know what the upper limits to that are, because you might ask yourself, like, if for 10 years, if you didn't avoid doing what you knew you needed to do, what would you be like? Well, you know, there are remarkable people who come into the world from time to time, and there are people who do find out over decades-long periods what they could be like if they were who they were, if they spoke their being forward. And they get stronger and stronger and stronger, and we don't know the limits to that. We do not know the limits to that.
You must determine whether the situation and the people call for disassociation or limited association. But remember, if it isn't taking you where you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, now is the time to fix it.
And so if your life isn't everything it could be, you could ask yourself, well, what would happen if you just stopped wasting the opportunities that are in front of you? You'd be who knows how much more efficient, 10 times more efficient, 20 times more efficient. You have no idea how efficient people get. Well, and if we all got our act together collectively and stopped making things worse, because that's another thing people do all the time, if people stopped really, really trying just to make things worse, we have no idea how much better they would get just because of that.
Come on, you got to keep your courage up. Your bank account might be going down, but keep your courage up. Your grades might have gone down last semester, but if you keep your courage up, you can get your grades back up. Even if everything else goes down, keep up your courage. If you got to borrow some money, if you got to take a little while, if you got to take a time out, just keep going forward, and it will happen.
I want you to get some determination. I want you to put your shoulders back. I want you to put your feet down. I want you to understand that you can't choose what happens to you in life, but you always get to choose how you respond to what happens to you in life. I'm telling you, life is 10% what happens. It's really 90% how you react. You need to predetermine now your reactions, because it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Storms will come.
We have to learn patience. Patience is a virtue. Patience is the ability to wait with the right attitude. Because you're going to wait one way or another. The question is, will you be patient while you wait? And will you choose the right spirit in all seasons?
Need a little pick-me-up today? Welcome to the new Fresh Motivation app, where you'll find daily motivation, daily quotes. Listen to your favorite speeches in the background or with a black screen, so nothing interrupts your motivational moment, where you can create your personal profile, create playlists of your favorite speeches and quotes, add personal notes, and start setting goals. Fresh Motivation, the home of motivation. Get it now for free on Google Play.
Living your passion is a great idea, okay? It's a great thought. And people confuse that with the idea that it's going to be easy or that it's going to be fun. No, you guys need to realize that no matter what path you take, no matter what route you take, no matter what direction you take in life, there are going to be days where you do not feel like doing anything. You don't feel like going to work. You don't feel like doing your job. Those days are going to be there no matter what path you take. Well, you know what? I live my passion every day. And you know what? There's still days I don't feel like doing it. And that's the point you guys need to understand. I have days I hate. You have days you hate. And everybody else on this earth has days they hate. And it's the people who push through those days anyway that end up making it or not. Period. And it's going to be your ability to move past, over, or through those obstacles on a daily basis that are going to define your success from your failure. They're going to find the difference that you make in your life. So don't come at me with the idea of, oh, living your passion is all roses and rainbows, unicorns. It's not.
Show me
Show me what you got. And I'm telling you, some of y'all, you lying to yourself. You say you want to be great. You say you want to get to the next level. You say you want to be dominant on that field. You say you want to go to the Final Four. You say you want to be a national champion. Listen to me. You say you want a promotion. You say you want to start your own business. But listen to me very closely. You talk too much. Shut up and let's go to work. I need you to grind. Are you hearing me? I need you to grind. Every single opportunity you get, every chance you get, show up. Listen to me, just be consistent. Success is allergic to average. Success and average don't have nothing to do with each other.
We were meant to go out and be battle tested. We were meant to go out and face adversity. We were meant to go out and grow over the course of getting our day in and day out. Realizing that those kind of beatings are what define you in life. When you open your eyes to a point where you understand the beatings that you take, the no's, the hate talk you get from your friends, from your parents, your peers, whenever you tell them, I want to be successful, I want more. Those are the things that ultimately end up defining your life because you come out stronger. Maybe your mom ain't there for you, your daddy ain't there for you. Maybe your teacher don't believe in you and so she's not holding you to greatness because she don't know. But I know something about you. If you're watching this right now and you went to the very end, I know you're great and I dare you to be great. I challenge you to be great. I challenge you to be great in every single thing you do.
Mr. Bennett continues, if one cannot arrange that an income of 24 hours shall exactly cover all proper items of expenditure, one does muddle one's whole life indefinitely. We shall never have any more time. We have, and we have always had, all the time there is. Isn't that well said? Let's consider some approaches to managing our time most effectively. The first approach is to ignore the subject altogether. The man says, I've been late all my life. I can't ever seem to get a handle on my time. Heck with it. I'll just struggle along the best I can. That's okay. It's your life, right? You can do with it as you please. But consider what this attitude might be costing you. Here's the second approach. Step down to something easier. Again, that's okay too. A man works for a company, then decides he wants to own one. When he gets that responsibility, comes to work before everyone else, leaves after everyone else, he now says, I would rather work for someone else's company. Hey, again, it's your life. Success is not a stereotype. There isn't just one model. Know clearly what success means to you and be comfortable with the price you pay for it. You might have heard the story of the little girl who complained to her mother that her daddy never had time to play with her. She said, why doesn't my daddy play with me? He comes home from work, goes to the study and work, comes out for dinner, goes back to work again. I want to play with my daddy. So her mother explained to her, your daddy is very busy. He loves you very much and that is why he works so hard. At his office he has so much work to do that he has to bring the rest of it home and finish it here. That is why he can't play with you. The little girl thought for a moment, trying to solve this problem, and came up with the answer. She said, well, why don't they just put him in a slower group? Hey, not a bad idea. Don't throw away other important values in your life just going for one. I went for some things in my life and found out later I had paid too much. If I had known how much they were going to cost, I never would have paid. So that is a consideration. The next approach to time management is to work longer and harder. And we all know the dangers there, right? Unless you aren't working at all, then you probably need to work longer and harder. But for some people, if 10 hours won't do it in a day, they work 12. And if 12 won't do, they move it up to 14. Some people even take on 2 jobs. And there are some very real dangers here, not least of which is health problems that result from not being able to handle the stress. So you've got to be careful with this approach. The last approach I think is the best, and that is to get more out of you. In the time you have assigned to labor, make the hours more valuable. The key is not to work harder, but to work smarter. If you're putting in about 8 or 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, that's about it. You can't work much harder. But remember, it's not the hours you put in that count. It's what you put in the hours. Get more from you to make the investment of time more valuable. And no telling how valuable you can become. We don't lack the capacity. We only lack the ideas and the will and the discipline to carry carry them out. In considering the subject of time management, remember that a big part of the key for changing is to take it in small steps. Most of us don't make revolutionary changes. We change a few degrees at a time. When you get some life momentum rolling, it's not that easy to make all the changes all at once. Hey, you can't whip a U-turn with the Queen Elizabeth II. When that big ship gets moving, they say it takes 7 miles just to get it stopped. So when it's really moving, you just have to nudge it a little, and finally you get it turned. That's a lot like our lives. A few nudges at a time.
How many of you know that it's hard building a thriving residual income on a monthly basis? Raise your hands. That's why most people won't say yeah. It's much easier to complain about the economy. It's much easier to complain about our elected officials. It's much easier to talk about the recession. That's much easier to come up with excuses why you can't do it. That's where I was. That's where I set up station for a long time. My mentor said something to me, Mike, wait, I want you to write this down. He said, anybody can complain. He said, if you do what is easy, that's complaining. If you do what is easy, your life will be hard. But if you do what is hard, your life will be easy. Come on, that's strong medicine. If you do what is easy, complain about your situation, your circumstances. If you do what is easy, stand around and be a volunteer victim like everybody else. If you do what is easy, surrender and give up on your dreams. Become depressed and bitter and angry. Anybody can do that. If you do what is easy, your life be hard. But if you do what is hard, keep coming back again and again and again. If you do what is hard, approaching strangers, talking to people in shopping malls, get up dressed every day, going out prospecting, knowing some way, somehow, with a spirit of expectation, somebody's out here looking for an opportunity. You can go outside right now and see some pigeons, but you're out hunting for eagles, and they're not common. And if you do that over and over and over again, somebody's going to show up. Somebody's going to say, I'm the one. Dr. Thurman, I love him so. What a great. He said there's something in each and every one of them that waits and listens to the voice of the genuine in yourself. It will be perhaps the only guide you will ever have. And if you cannot hear it, all of your life, your days will be spent on the ends of string that somebody else pulls. I submit to you that you invest time and money, go to the airport, fly across country. I suggest to you, some of you drove here. I suggest you showed up because you said, I'm going to pull my own strings. I'm going to control my own life. Nobody will ever pull my strings again. Give yourselves a round of applause. I want you to write this down, Choosing Your Future. It's a program that we've created that's designed to put in place for you to work on yourself. A systematic process that changes your mindset. It's possible, it's necessary, it's you, it's hard, it's worth it, it's done. It's 6 CDs.
I'm tired, y'all. I'm tired of shortcasting. I'm tired of 15-year-olds being killed in drive-by shootings. I'm tired of 3-year-olds getting shot through a door in our own house plan because we won't talk about life. Somebody has got to have the courage to talk about life that is not just a straight line and everything that just fall into place. And Peter, the great apostle of the New Testament, is warming himself by the fire of the Romans, denying Jesus and not just saying I'm not his disciple. He said, I don't even know him. It's a shame, but it's true. And what of Thomas? Thomas, who said, we must go and die with him. Where is he? Where is Thomas? Not in the upper room later when Jesus rose from the dead. Where is he at the cross? Because when Jesus left for Jerusalem, Thomas said, look it up, I must go and die with him. But when that dying got real, a lot of people say a lot of stuff until it gets real, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, to richer and for poor, till you pee on yourself. When it gets worse, don't be so carried away about what people say, because Thomas, who was ready to die for him, turns up MIA at the cross. I see John, I see Mary, I see the Roman soldiers. Where is Thomas at the cross? No wonder he doesn't show up in the upper room. Shame. No wonder he is not gathering with the rest rest of the disciples because they heard him say, I will die with him. And they know he had shrank into the bushes and ran down the path and went over the hill and swam across the creek to get away from death. But what about Judas and his infamous betrayal of Jesus? I was reading a non-canonical book called The Gospel of Judas that has been discovered in the antiquities of history. And in it purports the ideology that Judas really wasn't trying to betray Jesus. He was trying to put Jesus in a situation where he would have to overthrow Rome so that the kingdom could come. And he thought that if he got Jesus in an open confrontation with Rome, that Jesus would show his power and rise to power, and he would finally take on politics and stop healing sick people. Because I'm tired of you healing sick people. That's not why I'm following you. I'm following you because I want political power. And the trick blew up in his face, and he didn't know they were going to kill him. If he knew they were going to kill him, then why did he hang himself? He hung himself because he got caught in his own web, and it cost somebody their life. And some of us have made decisions that cost other people their lives and their careers and their futures. And it's hard to live when you got the masterful plot and the plot goes wrong. Can I go deeper? I want to submit, just for your curiosity, it could be possible that had Judas not hung himself, he could have got the same. He could have come and fallen on his knees and said, forgive me. And I know you don't believe it, but I will defend it. If Jesus could be dying on the cross and say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do, while they nailed him to the tree, then surely
Transformation doesn't come because you show up here for an hour and 20 minutes. You'll be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But this word renewing is the same word as renovating. How many of you know you can't renovate a house in an hour and 15 minutes? If you're going to renovate a house, you got to kick some walls down. You got to pull some tiles up. You got to get into the mess of it. And that's what we got to do in our brain.
You have to decide that you're going to be in control and that you are going to do what you want to do. You are the machine and you can control the machine. Weakness doesn't get a vote. Sadness, no vote. Frustration, no vote. I don't even give my temper a vote. The next time that you're feeling weak or you're feeling lazy or you're feeling emotional, tell them you are declaring martial law on your mind. You're declaring mind control, and impose what you want on your brain and use that mind control to move your life where you want it to be.
It's not about clearing out your closet. It's about the transformation of your mind.
Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your minds.
Do you have a mind to change? Do you have the mindset to be blessed? You have to decide to be blessed.
A whole set of circumstances can bend you over. What your daddy did to you, what your mama didn't do for you, can bend you over and keep you an emotional cripple for a long time. There's some people here who still spinning from things that's happened years ago, and you can't shake it. It's got you crippled and you can't straighten up. Every time you straighten up, you can only go so far. Because it's not only a problem of health, it's a problem of habit. You're used to being bent over. Because you can be bent over so long, you don't even know how to straighten up. And things aren't straightening out. They aren't getting better. You remain crippled in your situation.
Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. Sometimes you got to say to yourself, now you know better than that. Sometimes you got to talk to yourself. When you see somebody you don't like, or somebody who gets on your nerves, you got to talk to yourself. You got to talk yourself into some stuff. And then you got to talk yourself. You got to tell yourself, don't do it. Don't go that way. They ain't dangerous intersection. You have to be able to talk yourself out of some stuff, because a whole lot of stuff I would not have gotten into had I talked to myself.
We've got a chance to grow like never before, but I'm telling you, there's going to be many enemies that's going to try to prevent us. Whatever threatens you, I'm asking you to threaten it back. Take care of your responsibility. Somebody wants to destroy your chances for a good future by their negative talk, negative thinking, putting it all down. I'm telling you, walk away if you have to. Walk away. Whatever threatens you, threaten it back. Whatever threatens your opportunity, threaten it back. Now, some of our enemies are on the outside, but here's the most important thing to understand. Some of our enemies are on the inside. You got to do battle with your own indifference. And you've got to learn not only to nourish your values, you've got to learn to do battle with your enemies. I'm asking you to have some faith, have some courage, believe, drive your doubts into a small corner. Don't let them loose like a mad dog, drive you into a small corner. Don't doubt the future, don't doubt the possibilities. And here's the most important one of all, don't doubt yourself. If I've got miracle working power to change my life, so do you. If I can grow, you can grow. I'm asking you, don't sell yourself short.
Even if you are 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, doesn't matter. You're in the game now, and that's what counts. And all those quote unquote wasted years, they weren't wasted, because you learned. Learned about what it's like to be weak, and the knowledge that you learned about those things is fuel to make sure that it never happens again. Because you know what is out there, and you know how bad it can get. I say you embrace what you learned from the weekdays. Let them make you even stronger, and you use your own personal transformation that you've made in life. Use that to help other people transform and get on the path as well.
If you know what it is to have the kind of pain that feels as if you cannot be comforted, if you know what it is to be at the end of your rope and feel like your life is over and you've got questions that cannot be answered and you're confused and you're uncertain, you need to learn this verse. They that sow in tears shall reap in joy. I will never forget there's been many opportunities in my life that I have grappled with grief and pain so unbearable and so overwhelming that I thought that I would never smile again. I've seen days that were so dark for me that I thought there could not possibly be a silver lining in the clouds that hung over my head. I've seen days and weeks and months that drugged me so low that I gave up all hope of getting up again. But in the midst of all of that despair and that trouble and that trauma and that pain, there was in the basement of my soul this one word, when.
When should you start the day? As soon as you have it finished. Plan the day the best you can, leaving plenty of room for improvising and surprises and all the stuff that happens during the course of the day. But if you've planned a good, productive day, now you start that day, you can't believe how much more valuable your time will be. Next, don't start the month until you have it finished. The places to go and the people to see and the productivity and the sales and the customers and the development and all the rest of what you want to accomplish during the course of 30 days. And then here's the big one. This is really challenging. Don't start the year until you have it finished. To the best of your ability. It can't be finished like minute by minute. But in terms of the sweep of what you want to accomplish, make sure that that's set and ready to go. And it might get all upset. It might get torn up and you do a new one. You make so much progress the first 90 days that now you've multiplied it all by 2, by 3. Because that happened to me. I thought, wow, this is going to be a great year. By the time I'd finished the 3rd month, I'm rolling. So many things are happening, I revised my whole year's plan. Don't let anything overly bug you. Because remember now, you don't have to do anything. Someone says, well, I got to get a handle on my time. The answer is no, you don't. If you want to let it all go, you can let it all go. Somebody says, you ought, you ought, you ought. Jot this down. Ignore all the you oughts or you should. Take charge of your life. Take charge of your time. Take charge of your resources, which we're going to talk about next. Take charge of your health. You're the one that's responsible for it. It's not a requirement of society that you not have a heart attack and take care of your family, but you must make it a requirement of yourself.
You will be okay. There's nothing has been wasted. Like I say, successful people don't make the right decisions, they make their decisions right. And you have an opportunity right now to make things right inside and out. When you say you're depressed, you've got to understand that depression is the opposite of expression. So what you're literally doing is stuffing down and depressing something that wants to come up and rise out. I wouldn't be surprised if you had like jaw, ear, or neck pain having to do with expressing yourself, speaking your truth. So yeah, you're depressing yourself. Stop it. Speak up, speak your truth. Now, right, once you get that off your chest, now it's time to turn the flashlight in and discover what your truth is.
We are living in a generation of the dumbing down of ideas because we have traded effectiveness for busyness. We are so busy and we think because we're busy, we're effective. But I want you to challenge your schedule for a minute and ask yourself, are you really being effective? Or is your life cluttered with all kinds of stuff that demands you and drains you and stops you from being your highest and best self? And are you substituting busyness and all the chaos that goes along with busyness from being effective?
It's easy to get faked out by being busy. Guy comes home at night all exhausted, falls in the chair and says, oh, I've been going. Here's the big question, doing what? It's not the going. Some people are going, and they're doing figure eights. So don't mistake movement for achievement.
There's a lot of things you could take from me and I could make it. You could take my suit, I got another one. You could take my car, I could get another one. You could take my house, I could get another house. But when you take my time, you have taken something from me that is totally irreplaceable. We do everything except the most important thing is to value our time. It takes time to be creative. You were meant to be creative. You have creativity. If you had time, you would be creative.
Better have a valued goal, because otherwise you can't get any positive motivation working out. And so the more valuable the goal, in principle, the more the microprocesses associated with that goal start to take on a positive charge. Well, you get up in the morning and you're excited about the day. You're ready to go. What you do is you specify your long-term ideal. You do that in some sense as a unique individual. You want to specify goals that make you say, if that could happen as a consequence of my efforts, it would clearly be worthwhile. The question always is, why do something? Because doing nothing is easy. You just sit there and you don't do anything. That's real easy. And then the next question might be, well, where should you look for worthwhile things? And one would be, well, you could consult your own temperament. So you do a structural analysis of the subcomponents of human existence. And you need a family, you need friends. Like, you don't need to have all these things, but you better have most of them. Family, friends, career, educational goals, attention to your mental and physical health, etc. You know, that's what life is about. And if you don't have any of those things, well, then all you've got left is misery and suffering. So that's a bad deal for you.
Don't mistake courtesy for consent. If somebody's pleasant and they nod, you say, oh, they're going to buy. No, they're courteous. You can't mistake courtesy for consent. Now, here's a big one, concentration. I had to learn this. All those years ago, I'm in the shower trying to compose a letter. Found it turns out to be a strange letter. So here's what I learned to do. Save the work till you get to the office. Save the work till you get to the work. Don't try to get to the office on the way to work. On the way to work, enjoy the way. In the shower, enjoy the shower. Then go to work when you get to work. Concentration. Learn to say no. I'm telling you, in such a social society we have now, it's so easy to try to be a nice person, saying yes, yes, yes to everything. Find yourself overloaded. Now you got to call and make well, gosh, you know, all the time it takes to back out of something that you said yes to too quickly. Here's what might be better. I don't think so, but if that changes, I'll call you. Little things you can use not to overcommit yourself.
But once you set up that goal structure, let's say, and that's really who it is that you're trying to be, you aim at that. and then you use everything you learned as a means of building that person that you want to be. And I really mean want to be. I don't mean should be, even those things are going to overlap. That's fine, except you'll fail all the time then. You just won't know it until you've failed so badly that you're done. And that can easily happen by the time you're 40. I would recommend that you don't let that happen. Okay, so once you get your goal structure set up, you think, okay, if I could have this life, looks like that might be worth living. Anxiety provoking and threatening, and there's going to be some suffering and loss involved and all of that. The goal is to have a vision for your life such that, all things considered, that justifies your effort. Then you turn down to the micro routines. It's like, okay, well, this is what I'm aiming for. How does that instantiate itself day to day, week to week, month to month? And that's where something like a schedule can be unbelievably useful. It's like, make a damn schedule and stick to it. It's not a bloody prison. Set the damn schedule up so that you have the day you want. That's the trick. It's like, okay, I've got tomorrow. If I was going to set it up so it was the best possible day I could have, what would it look like?